Welcome to our first online course on peace and sport. My name is Peleg, and this is the first session, What can sport contribute to peace building? First, thank you for taking part in this course. I hope you will enjoy the topic and hopefully be inspired to explore it further. I look forward to our joint work and for your active participation at the forum. In this session, we will discuss framing and background of the topic. This will lay out the academic framework of the venues when sport is being used for peace building. We will introduce sport for development and peace and highlight ways in which sport may support peace building and conflict resolution processes. In order to give an overview of this field, we will map the current interactions and umbrella organizations that are using sport for peace building and for development. Next, we will try to answer the questions: what are the differences between development of sport versus sport development? We will make sure that this discussion will not only be theoretical and will relate to the topic of our course. Lastly, the discussion will include also practical considerations from your reading and touching some key elements to take a look at when designing a sport program for peace building, conflict resolution, and reconciliation. Let's start with the framing. Sport has been widely considered as a soft power, as opposed to hard power. This term usually refers to art and music, culture and education, but also diplomacy. Hard power is often referred to the traditional use of power, such as war. Sport is also part of peace education studies, which Professor Gal Harmat will elaborate more on the next unit. Sport is conflictual by nature and rely on competition and collaboration. This is why it is perfect for confrontal situations. It is also a way to sublime violence in the international arena and a way to softly measure power and prestige. Take a look at the Olympic Games, for example. The contribution sport can make towards peace-building efforts has generally been considered at the grassroots and nation-state level. At the grassroots or community level, sport can be seen to provide a useful way of creating an environment in which people can come together to work towards the same goal, show respect for others, and share space and equipment. All these aspects are crucial to peace-building processes. A study on the role of sport in fostering social integration among different ethnic groups in South African schools showed that several factors contributed to the use of sport being successful in bringing about exchange and building relationship between different groups, including sports non-verbal meaning of communication, sports as a means to engage in collective experience and establish a direct physical contact. But it also the ability that sport has to transcend class divisions. That definitely correlate to the issue at stake. Current definitions of peace building go beyond an exclusive focus on the post-conflict phase and emphasize the building of relationship between people as a key component of peace building. This is where sport has a space to be impactful. Lederach has emphasized the importance of creating safe and accessible social spaces, or relational spaces, as part of peacebuilding. In this sense, the creation of these social spaces through the use of sport can be innovative and broadening and deepening peacebuilding initiatives. Linking sport and peace, he argued, with a holistic approach is needed to build sustained stability and peace in communities and nations facing conflict. A holistic approach that is sensitive and tailored to the political, economic, and socio-cultural context. Sport, as such, should be considered as just one among many components of this approach. Now that we have covered the framing of our discussion, I would like to move to an overview or a background of sports and development of peace. The use of sport addresses a variety of social issues. That strategy referred to as Sport for Development and Peace, SDP in short. That term will be used in our course quite frequently. And that term, SDP, is becoming widely accepted, especially in regions affected by poverty, violence, and conflict. Identifying a set of unique characteristics, a wide range of actors in the peace and development fields, including the UN International Development Agencies and non-governmental organizations, have endorsed sport as a significant social catalyst. Sport's main contribution to peace-building processes is its universality. Because of its cross-cultural nature, sport is a unique way of breaking through geographic and social barriers, and therefore can be a major component of social interventions, especially those targeting children and youth. Moreover, sport can attract at-risk populations onto programs where they can be offered other social services. Team sports force participants to interact with each other, which can contribute to building relationships on and off the field. Furthermore, participants may use situations of conflict that naturally arise from these interactions to find innovative ways to solve disagreements. A good example can be the football matches without referees, as a way to encourage participants to negotiate the rules of the game as presented by the Football for Peace methodology. Sport is commonly associated with competition and aggression and has in many instances led to violence on and off the field. Certain sport demand high level of physical contacts between players, and that, added to the competitive nature of sport, can lead to physical aggression and even serious violence. Emphasis on values such as fair play and respect should be a major component of any sport activity, whether professional or recreational. It is essential when sport is used as a strategy supporting peace building. Academic research in the area of SDP is still in its infancy, and much remains to be done. Sugden and Hasner have stressed the need for more research in this field to construct and share a more robust body of knowledge, thereby providing a wider understanding of the role of sport as a social catalyst. In relation to sport as a facilitator of peace and conflict transformation undertakings, it is important to point out that most studies are not grounded in existing conflict resolution approaches, impeding a more in-depth evaluation of the claims attributed to sport, in particular, as an element of change and transformation. Now that we have covered and we've got a sense of the background of sport for development and peace, I would like to map the field of sport for development and peace around the world. Sport and development for peace has been existing for as long as mankind, especially in its uninstitutional way. Human beings were playing sport as a sign of interaction, humanization, normalization, and as a preparation for hunting and for the battle. We are also well aware of the important part that sport was played in the international level. In fact, basically since the existence of a notion of sovereign entity, there was sport interaction between different geopolitical units. This is why it is so surprising to me that it was only at the late 1980s and 1990s that the use of sport for development for peace has mushroomed into an institutional organizations. The UN International Sport Federation, national sport bodies, and professional sport clubs. This was mainly through the work of some pioneering non-governmental organizations. Today, there are hundreds of organizations nationwide that are using sport for development for peace and advance social causes. The interpretation of what it means is very different and local, but the use of sport is universal. Those causes dealt by the organizations vary and include peace building and reconciliation, education against playing with landmines, education to prevent HIV/AIDS, fighting poverty, women empowerment, youth leadership and community building, integration between different parts of society, learning language through sport, and many, many more. Some of the leading umbrella organizations and networks that is worth mentioning are the UN Office on Sport Development and Peace. It is based in Geneva and the special advisor to the Secretary of and has a special advisor to the Secretary General. It has a very unique youth leadership program, and it is known also to lead the International Day of Peace and Sport. SAD, which stands for the Swiss Academy for Development, is based in Biel, Switzerland. It is now the leading body in research of the field. It operates the Sport and Dev platform, short for Sport and Development. It also runs programs on the ground. SAD has a very unique evaluation method and can also be an answer to what we refer to as the body of knowledge. Next up is Peace and Sport. This organization is based in Monaco. It focuses on relationship with the International Olympic Committee, with sport ministries, and with the Olympic sport committees. It holds international events, hands out awards to excellent organizations in the field, and has forums for discussions on the topic at stake. It also has ambassadors program to raise awareness. The next organization I would like to mention is Street Football World. This organization is based in Berlin, Germany. It focuses on football only, and it is an umbrella organization that has over 100 plus member organization that grows through a serious screening process in order to be a member. This organization used to be in strategic and financial partnership with FIFA, Sports for Good. It is using a very democratic approach with their existing members. Next one is Beyond Sport. This organization is based in London and has offices also in Washington, D.C. It is mostly an award-based organization to members who are leading change in sports for development and peace around the world. Its winning package includes a tailor-made program with university experts, such as the Wharton School of Business as part of Penn University. Their main strength is their connection with professional clubs in various sports. Laureus Sports for Good is also based in London. It is also an award-based organization. That's their main resource. Laureus has an international network of grantees on various sports. It is a great body of knowledge in this field. Right to Play is an organization that is based in Toronto, Canada. This is not an umbrella organization, but it's the biggest organization who is active on the field. It is led by a former Olympian, Johan Olav Koss, who is a Norwegian ice skater. Right to Play has over 500,000 kids who are involved in their programs. I would take their work with a grain of salt, but just be mindful that they are very big. Lastly, I would like to mention Football for Development. This umbrella organization is based in Vienna, Austria, and it works only in football and with the European Union. It is also a body of knowledge and promotes conferences and publications and joint research. Their main work is fighting racism in European football. I hope that this overview has shed some light on this emerging field. I do encourage you to go online and maybe browse one of those organizations. Take a peek, take a look at their websites and what they actually are doing. Now, a distinction I would like to make is between development of sport versus sport development. If you happen to see the recommended video in the syllabus, there is a distinction that now I would like to dive into: sport for development and development of sport. Sport for development is the use of sport for any social mean as described above. This means that the game is inclusive, accessible, and culturally sensitive. The game itself has no barriers for interaction. Success is being measured as achieving the social goals of the program. Development of sport, on the other hand, is any use of sport for its professional aspect. That includes development of champions, professional competitions, sport clubs, and sport federations. Success is being measured through winning championship, scoring points, or breaking records. Sport has the same rules all around the world and is not culturally sensitive. It is exclusive by nature and focuses on the elite, the selected gifted athletes. So why is this distinction important for our purposes? I believe it is crucial in order to understand at least three main points. First, power dynamics, the developed world versus the developing world, and also get a better understanding of cultural biases. Our course will be focusing on sport for development and the peace branch in its specific. However, we have to take a look at those examples that blur this line with a critical eye. Recent examples have shown the increase of involvement of European football clubs in Africa. Some are searching for talents. Some make it a social project. Every professional entity that is development of sport by definition, such as sport federation, Olympic committee, national sports association, professional sports club, has actually prided itself nowadays with the social responsibility section, which is inclusive and socially based. Current examples are NBA Cares, the Roger Federer Foundation from the world of tennis, the Real Madrid Soccer Schools, FIFA Sports for Good using soccer or football, even Judo for Peace, and I'm not making it up, is an initiative that falls into that category. And there are many, many more. Question we would like to ask: is this a social project or a professional one? What is the distinction that is being kept? Who is benefiting from this project? What is defined as success to any given project? Now that we know the distinction between development of sport versus sport for development, the last part of this session will be dedicated to some practical considerations based on your reading. Sport can be seen as part of a holistic approach to peace building. Sport programs that focuses on peace building must ensure that their efforts are part of a wider holistic approach to peace building and conflict transformation. Sport programs is effective in conflict and post-conflict situation as part of comprehensive peace building strategies. Let's take a look at sensitivity. Sociocultural norms and values dictate the ways in which sport and physical activity is viewed and is carried out in the community. Programs that use sport must take into account the ways in which sport and physical activity is constructed in any given conflict context, and should be implemented in ways that are sensitive to this particular context. Another practical consideration would be accessibility. All groups must have access to the sports program, which should aim to be as inclusive as possible. If we take a look at local versus externally driven processes, the feedback and research warns against parachuting workers, volunteers, or even celebrities into conflict or post-conflict situations, and advise that external actors involved in peace-building efforts are aware of their role in insider-outsider power dynamics. Local community-based development approaches to peace-building through sport is most effective when the community guides the process. Furthermore, the informed consent of participants, and not just their political representative, is essential to the success of sport program that aims to contribute effectively to peace building. Last practical consideration to take into account at this stage would be barriers to interaction. An emphasis should be made on encouraging mutual acceptance and tolerance. Studies have shown that traditional games and dance were found to be effective in overcoming initial obstacles or barriers to interaction. Now that we have concluded our session, which is about to end, I would like to summarize the main points of our discussion. In this session, we have covered a lot of topics that are important for this course. We started with what can sport contribute to peace building. we have covered the basic framework of our discussion and the background of this particular field. We also have ran through time and time zones to map the field of sport for development and peace, and have mentioned some important actors in this particular field. Then we stopped to make a distinction between development of sport versus sport for development, and we made sure that it is an important one to take a look at, especially when it comes to the power dynamic as any critical view of intervention. At the end of the day, a social project that uses sport for social action, such as peace, is an intervention, and we need to take a look at it also from a critical perspective. Lastly, we have elaborated on some practical consideration to take into account when zooming into a sport program that peace building is its outcome. Any questions or any need for clarification on the information that has been presented, I'll be more than happy to answer in the forum. Thank you so much.